Hey everyone, it's Lynnea. Today I'm going to be using some of the new Rina Designs Glitz glitter gels and as well as the Deco Foil Transfer Gel Blanco to create some fun Easter cards. So to start off with here, I have a stencil from Pink and Main. It's the 4-point stars stencil. You can use any stencil for this technique. I just liked this pattern. So I'm going to spray the back of it with some pixie spray. And then I'm going to grab my Deco Foil Transfer Gel Blanco. Now, I do want to make sure I'm using the Blanco. I realized I grabbed my Duo Gel. The difference is the Blanco has this white lid, so it's easily identifiable. But when I'm using the enamels, I like to use the Blanco, and you're going to see why in a bit. But basically, it's because this gel stays white. The Deco Foil Transfer Gel Duo dries clear. So you can use it with the enamels on light colored cardstock, but I still prefer the Blanco Transfer Gel because this color that it is now, that's how it's going to be when it's dry. And the enamel transfer sheets are slightly translucent, so that's why I like to use the Blanco gel. Okay, so I'm using the same stencil. I took it over to my sink and just gave it a quick wash real quick. And now I'm going to use the Rina Designs Neon Glitz Glitter Gels. This one here is the Hello Yellow color, and I'm also going to be using the Orange Glow color. So I just kind of scoop some out with my stencil pal, and I like to use more than what is necessary. You're going to see me use a whole bunch on here, and that's just because I like to use more. It's easier for me to spread it on if I use more versus than if I spread less. So if I just get a little bit of the Glitz glitter gel on here, it kind of is uneven to spread, and sometimes I have gaps in my coverage. But I do want to mention that I use all of this Glitz glitter gel. Like you can see me here scraping my work surface. I had somebody comment on one of my videos how wasteful it is to use excess of these products, and I want you to know that even though I may put excess onto my project originally, I save every last bit of this because this is precious to me. These are my craft supplies and I love them. So yes, I do start out with using a lot of these products, but then I will scrape my stencil and my work surface and make sure that I get every bit of that excess back into the jar to use for a later project. Okay, so I did all 4 of those backgrounds, 2 with the Deco Foil Transfer Gel Blanco, and then 1 with the Orange Glow Glitz Glitter Gel, and 1 Hello Yellow Glitz Glitter Gel. Set them aside to dry. They don't take long. I let them dry for probably about 2 hours, and while they were drying, I decided to stamp some little peeps. Now, these are from the Simon Says Stamp, My Kind of Peep stamp set, which I didn't know until after I recorded this video. I believe that this stamp set is retired, but you can use any Easter images that you like, and there are a bunch of Peep stamp sets on the market. So what I'm using are the Rina Designs Neon Electro-Pop inks, and I'm basically stamping all of these little peeps down with one color here, like you see me using the Orange Glow, and then I'm going to go in with a slightly darker color of ink. So I'm using Pop and Pink now, and inking up the bottom 3/4, and then I'll come in with a microfiber cloth and just dab where the edge of that ink line is so that I don't have any harsh lines. Now here I'm using the purple color, and then I'm just going to do the same thing. I just inked up the bottom of these little peeps, wiped away a little bit or dabbed away a little bit of that ink with my cloth, and then stamped again, and I stamped and die cut a whole bunch of those for my cards. So my backgrounds are all done. You can see how shiny and glittery those are. And here is why I love to use the Blanco gel, because this stays white. So like I said, these Electro-Pop Neon Enamel Transfer Sheets, you can see here, they're kind of a little bit translucent, meaning you can see through them. That's why it's really important and why I like to use the Blanco Transfer Gel, because when I put this into a carrier sheet and run this through my laminator, you're going to see that the white makes these colors stay true. If I use the Duo Gel, it would work because I am using a light colored cardstock. Definitely need to use the Blanco gel if you're using dark cardstock, but I even prefer it even on this white cardstock. And I do want to mention there are two sides to these enamel transfer sheets. One is shiny and one is dull. You want to put these on with the shiny side up so that when you peel this back, you have this fun like gumball candy texture left behind. It's shiny and pretty, and I absolutely love it. So these are the Screamin' Green and the Poppin' Pink colors. And so between the enamels and the glitz, I have all 4 colors of these neon things. So I also want to mention, since we're talking about conserving our products, I keep these background panels. I mean, most people would probably throw them away. I don't. I have a little shoebox where I keep my foils and my enamel and my flock transfer sheets that I've used already. And then I will just glue them onto a card base and use them for backgrounds later on. So I am doing the unimaginable right now. I am going to take all of these panels and I'm going to trim them down into strips. I ended up doing about 1/2-inch strips for all of these backgrounds. So I just went through and I found it was best to use a guillotine trimmer versus a wire trimmer. I have both kinds and I prefer both for different types of projects, but for these I found that since they have some grit to the backgrounds, I liked the guillotine trimmer. They just gave me cleaner edges. So now I have a bunch of strips and I trimmed down about 1/2 inch from them, and I am going to start with one background and do a paper weaving technique. This was the card that I intended to make, but when I was done, I had a lot of strips left over, so you're going to see me actually make a couple different cards. But for this first one, I'm kind of doing like a basket weave background. So I have 6 of the strips lined up vertically on my work surface, and then I'm going to take another strip and lay it horizontally, and what I'm going to do is go over one strip, under the next, over, under, over, and under, until I have a weaved pattern. And then I'm going to grab another strip and I'll go opposite. So for this first strip with the Poppin' Pink enamel on the left, I went over it with my first horizontal strip. So for my second one, I'm going to go under. So I'll go under the pink, over the orange, under the green, over the yellow, under the pink, and over the orange. And I'm just going to alternate these back and forth so that I have a grid weave here. Once I got 3 of these horizontal pieces in, it got a little bit easier to work with because the pieces kind of held in place a little bit better. They started to interlock and weave together, and it made it a lot easier. As I went, I found that it was also easy to use some liquid adhesive. My favorite is the iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive. This is going to adhere onto all of these textured surfaces very well. So between the enamel transfer sheets and then the Glitz glitter gel, these are really textured strips that I have. And I found that the iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive really held on strong. And it helped me to use my grid mat as well to make sure I was kind of getting all these pieces straight. And so I would just kind of lift up these strips and glue them down, and then I would just keep moving on, weaving those strips in and over and under until I had this little square weaved pattern. Once I had that done and I had those little dots of glue in place, I put my mini Misti on top of it and set it aside. You can see it there at the top of my work screen. Just something heavy to put on there as it dried. Now, like I said, I had a lot of strips left over, so I'm going to take some of them and just kind of trim them down to different lengths. One I have a little bit taller and one a little bit shorter, and then I'm going to alternate these across my card, having these vertical stripes with all these different patterns. And all I'm doing is I have one pattern of glitz and then one pattern with the enamel, another pattern with glitz, another pattern with the enamel. I'm not really going in rainbow order at all. I'm mostly just trying to alternate the different textures of the background strips. So now I have all my cards done. I did do one other one that I did off camera. Instead of doing vertical strips, I just did horizontal. Same thing, just a different direction. Here is my weaved background, and I absolutely love how this looks like a little Easter basket. This is one of my favorite techniques to do because it's simple and it's a way to bring a lot of different colors into your background. I added foam squares from Gina K Designs onto the backs, just where the actual little squares kind of met up in the back. And so I mounted that onto my card with some of those foam squares. I have all my little peeps, and I do want to mention that as I was stamping, the inks dry and they kind of even out. So you can see the ombre stamping here, and there's no harsh edges. I love how these neon peeps turned out. And there are 3 different sizes, so I'm just kind of building little groups or little families of peeps. and I'm going to glue them onto my cards using iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive as well as those Gina K Designs foam squares for dimension. Here are all 3 of my cards. I really hope you love these bright, happy, neon Easter cards using the enamel transfer sheets with the Deco foil transfer gel Blanco, as well as the new Rina K Designs neon glitz glitter gels. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you again very soon. Bye!